Hey, everybody, welcome to today's live. I am going to give everybody a few minutes to come in to this live. We had a change in destination. I was supposed to originally go out live on YouTube, but there was a technical glitch over there. So some of you have gotten emails and text reminders that I was going live and ended up going over there only to find out that I had no sound over there. I'm hoping to be able to redirect all of you to this new stream. It's on YouTube still, as well as Facebook and other places. Let's give you guys a couple minutes to come in. Those of you who are coming in live today, I am going to be talking about shocking gluten-related reactions. If you're watching, I would love to know where you're watching from. If you could type it in chat. I do read every comment as it comes in. Susan Turner, thank you. It's okay now. You could hear the sound. I love it. Thank you so much. Anybody else is watching, let me know if you're hearing the sound. Also, where you're watching from. Susan, tell me where you're watching from. I would love to know. A lot of people don't realize I do these as lives, meaning that as you're typing your comments, I'm reading your questions, and I am also answering these questions live. Welcome, Maribel. Welcome, Raina. I love it. And those of you who are watching on Facebook right now, I'll have the team also put the link to YouTube if you want to watch this on YouTube instead. I am seeing all these comments coming in. Jennifer Erlos, hello from Cincinnati. Welcome, welcome. Troy, New York. Thank you. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna. Had to come on differently. All right, everybody. So tonight we're actually talking about shocking reactions to gluten, and tonight it is a Q&A. If a member of my team can edit the title of it underneath me, Q&A, gluten reactions, that'd be really great. So I am Dr. Maggie Yu. I am a functional holistic medicine physician. I love talking about things that your doctor doesn't want to talk about or don't know how to talk about. And in my experience, 28 years as a practicing family medicine physician, MD, as well as a functional medicine doctor, I've worked with, at this point, about 12,000 people in the lifetime of my career on these out-of-the-box topics. A lot of people tell me that they have never been able to have a conversation with a doctor about gluten, or they don't feel like there's a medical professional with which, and hormones, you name it. But today, since we're talking about gluten, a lot of people tell me that they know they react to gluten, but they don't feel like that they're able to talk to their doctors or anybody on their medical team about it, that it's not believed, it's thought to be not real. And I would love right now, if you react to gluten, throw me an emoji in chat right now. If you know you react to bread makes you bloat, throw me an emoji in chat. I want to know how many people know, hands up, that you have a reaction to gluten. And what I would also like to do is, how many people watching this are gluten-free? If you're gluten-free, I want you to put the letter X or an emoji for X in chat. I would love to know. Yeah, so a lot of people, Raina, Maribel, Susan, right? Librarian, gluten reaction. Okay. There's gonna be a lot of story time today in this for me. I love that it's gonna be Q&A. And I'll tell you this right now. If you put a question in the comment section right now, my team is collecting them and I will be answering them. Okay. So we're going to be taking questions and we're going to be setting it on a queue, and I will be answering questions as well, because this is a Q&A. I'm talking with you. I'm talking to you, and I can see you interacting with me live. That's what's so fun about being live. Okay. This is your chance to ask a medical doctor, functional medicine doctor as well, anything around gluten, food sensitivities, as that is the topic of the day. We're also going to be talking about supplementation. There's so much misunderstanding around supplementation around this. So first thing first, as you guys are typing in some of your questions, telling me, whether you're gluten-free or you react to gluten, there is a lot of different ways with which people can react to gluten. Number one, there's a group of people who are celiac. And if you're celiac, type in chat that you're celiac. And believe it or not, celiac is an autoimmune disease. That means there's an autoimmune reaction when you eat gluten and gluten touches the cells in your gut. Your immune system looks at that and says, you're a germ and I'm going to kill you and I'm going to hurt you. So there's a full balls out attack of your immune system against your intestinal cells. And it causes them, intestinal cells look like this, like a hand with little villi sticking out. And when when the gluten gets in there, your immune system says, "Holy heck, we got an invading army. There's a problem here, Houston," and it sends all your immune cells to these cells to attack them. And what you find over time is it destroys the gut cells on the lining of your intestine, and they lose their villi. They're like little nubbins; they get flat, and that's permanent damage. That people with celiac can react to gluten. That's one group. And if you're in that group, let me know. Right. The second thing is most people aren't celiac. Most people are what I say called gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive, or they have some sort of immune response. They have an autoimmune disease or something, and they know when they eat it, it triggers it. But no matter how much they test, it doesn't show up. So this is the group I call gluten intolerant, right? And in gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive individual, there isn't some sort of blood test or some sort of biopsy that shows you have a nubbin all over your intestines. There is no gold standard, according to the Mayo Clinic, on how you diagnose gluten intolerance. However, I'm going to tell you that there is two ways with which working with gluten issues over the last 20 years, can clearly discern that. One way is the Mayo Clinic way, which is called withdrawal of the gluten, like remove the gluten for a couple months, reintroduce it, see if symptoms improve or not. That's in the only way from the traditional medical model. They don't believe gluten intolerance is real. And even if they did, which Mayo Clinic does believe it's real because it is, their way is to tell you to take it away for a couple months and then reintroduce it to see if symptoms get worse, better, come back again. That's one way to do it. When I work with individuals, I do a process that I created called food mapping, where for me, food mapping is really critical. And it's different than anything else anybody is doing, is that I take into the account a couple things, which is that your personal medical history is really important, number one. Family history of gluten intolerance, family history of autoimmune disease, personal history of reaction to gluten. Those are all part of the data set, number one. Number two, there is blood work that we do, good blood work testing, where I can identify individuals that are gluten intolerant or intolerant to any other food. Okay, so that there is reliable testing. And number three, there's the whole emphasis around digestion. You can't talk about gluten intolerance, and they can't, because I'm the only one talking about this without understanding that gluten intolerance isn't just a kind of mild allergic reaction. It's not a mild reaction, by the way. And we'll go over shocking reactions to gluten that your doctors completely dismiss, that as I list them, it's probably going to bring up some ahas for you. So what I was going to say with that was that there is reliable testing, but there's a role of digestion. So with digestion, and thank you for all these comments. With digestion, one of the problems is that every single person, no matter whether they're celiac or whether they're gluten intolerant, has innately the genetics for broken steps in their digestion. Okay. If this is ringing a bell for you, you may want to think about this. Is that even before you discovered you were gluten intolerant, or maybe you've been guessing about it now, is it a digestion problem or is it gluten? Right? A lot of people will say that they took away the gluten or they identified they're gluten intolerant, but they stopped eating the gluten and they still felt shitty, or it helped 20, 30% of the symptoms, but not the other 80, or it still feels really unpredictable. And the reason why is this whole lack of understanding around everybody who's gluten intolerant has a digestion problem. Okay. When you think about digestion, there's like 10 different steps in digestion, let's say. And they even have done studies that actually shows that certain populations, that when you actually, let's say the autoimmune population, for example, people with rheumatoid arthritis, they did a major study. And in that group alone, that's just that group, 90% of those individuals didn't have any stomach acid or very low amount of stomach acid. So we know genetically certain people with certain immune or allergic type responses in their body innately genetically have certain steps in their digestion that's broken. So that's the tricky piece here, everybody, is that, let's use dairy as an example. How do you know you're allergic to dairy versus being lactose intolerant, meaning you don't digest the sugar in dairy? Big conundrum, right? So this is why I'm telling you that when I do work with individuals, we have to get all the data to understand what are the real food sensitivities, but also be able to troubleshoot through and identify what steps are actually broken in digestion in each individual, so we know exactly what's the difference between the two. Because the difference between the two, like in lactose intolerant, for example, is that someone who knows that they're not allergic to dairy, but they're lactose intolerant, can they take a supplement, for example, like Allergest, or can they take a supplement that like lactate or something to just digest the sugar in dairy and still eat it? Yes, they can. So there's a whole digestion component to understanding gluten reactions. Okay. So back to gluten here. Please, I love all the stuff that you're saying, and there's already several starred questions. Okay. I'm going to be answering questions: digestion, gluten sensitivity, you name it. Now, here's the thing. The most important thing, first step, before we go into these shocking reactions, is you got to cover digestion. And digested, I'm just going to be too long, don't read. We're going to talk more about it later. If you're wondering if there's a digestive component to your food related reactions, the best thing that you can do is pick up a product like Digested, and it's one with small meals, two with big meals. Start it immediately. And the reason that's the case is this particular product covers every single step in digestion right away. Okay. And on top of it, it has really small number of ingredients. So a lot of people I work with are allergic to a lot of things. So all the digestive enzymes that are out there, digestion formulas that cover every step, have like 50 ingredients. This one doesn't. Okay. So small number of ingredients. So you want one with small meals, two with big meals. First thing, too long, don't read, start Digested, period, to address some of these issues in digestion. If you're not working with me in a program in any way to figure out what step is broken, start with Digested. And there's a link also under the video if you want to check that out. Now, that being said, I do want to mention that there is a gluten antidote that we'll discuss more later, which is Allergest, which is right here. Okay. With Allergest, this is what you take if you are exposed to gluten. Okay. 4x4 is my rule. 4 per day for 4 days. Just remember that. Okay. And that's Allergest. This is not a general digestive enzyme. It is here specifically when you check out this product on the website. It is here for accidental exposures to proteins that you know you have a problem with. So this is for gluten. This is for whey. This is, I mean, if you check out the website, it's for fish, it's for pea, protein, some of the nuts as well in there. So this is a really important thing. It's in my car. It's in my purse. Just have it. We'll talk more about it later if you have questions. Okay. But I want to go over some gluten reactions. Roxanne mentions that when she eats gluten, her joints ache the very next day. Most people think that being gluten intolerant or celiac, that your symptoms are going to be gut related. Okay. So come on. We know the bloating, the gas, abdominal pain, the heartburn, constipation, diarrhea, alternating, IBS, right? IBS is BS because it's not IBS. It's really digestive and food sensitivity issues. So yeah, right. Most people think that, but let's talk about what are some of the reactions you don't think about when it comes to gluten? And Roxanne, you were kind enough to mention, was it joint pain? How many people here, when you eat gluten, notice that your muscles and your joint hurt, right? Sonia says the gluten reaction that no one wants to talk about is cancer. Immune system. We'll talk more about that. But how many people get joint pain with this? And I'm talking to you with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. I'm talking to everybody with mixed connective tissue. I'm talking to people with fibromyalgia, right? How many people in this group even have an idea, or for a fact that when you consume gluten, it flares up pain, right? Barbara says me, Maribel says me, and Sonia says I do, right? So that doesn't make sense, does it? If it's just quote unquote an allergy or a bowel problem, a bowel reaction. So there is a lot more to gluten than just being like an allergen, let's say, that makes you itch for a while, right? There's something that gluten is doing that some other food sensitivities don't have this kind of reaction. So this brings me to the second type of unusual reaction to gluten is immune system activation. Immune system activation, okay? I want to find out how many people here know they have an autoimmune disease or suspect it. I spoke to Debbie last night, and Debbie didn't know that her fibromyalgia is considered autoimmune now. I've been saying this for 13 years, okay? And my question is like, it's now just being understood that people are saying, oh my gosh, fibromyalgia. It's actually a term where a lot of these individuals are having an immune reaction that's triggered by food coming in. Gluten being one of the top culprits, right? So Patty, thank you. She has chronic fatigue syndrome, CFS. She has fibromyalgia, right? Autoimmune related. Okay. So I'm going to give you guys write down this description that I have. I want to describe like why gluten causes pain, right? And why it's linked with autoimmune. So imagine there's something about the way the gluten molecule looks that's very irritating. So your immune system looks at it and says, it's a super irritant. This is why I'm just giving an example. Why do you think peanut allergy, for example, kills thousands of people and lettuce allergy never does? It's the way the peanut molecule looks is super irritating to the immune system. Keep that in mind. Now, when you actually look at gluten, it is very irritating to your immune system in a different way, meaning that if somebody's immune system has an autoimmune component, meaning it already, like normal immune system is supposed to fight germs outside you. Germ comes in, your germ, I'm going to kill you. In autoimmune, your immune system looks at your own body and says, you're a germ and I'm going to kill you. I'm going to hurt you. And people with fibromyalgia, mixed connective tissue disorder, people with a lot of pain in their muscles or even their nerves, the immune system mistakenly looks at part of your tendon, your muscle, or your nerves and says, you're a germ and I'm going to hurt you. This is not a normal activity of the immune system. Okay. And then what happens is gluten comes in, and imagine that as the peanut. Like peanut is the super allergen of the allergy system if you're allergic to it. Crazy, right? Crazy activated. Peanut is extremely anaphylactic. Gluten is like that for people with autoimmune. So that when gluten shows up in your body says, looks at the gluten, says, I don't like how you look. And the problem is there's certain parts of the gluten molecule that looks a little bit what I call human-y. It looks just human-y enough that your immune system looks at it and says, that kind of looks like your own tissue, and yet it's super irritating to me, and I'm going to attack. Now, here is something important. It's going to attack everywhere that your immune system has been attacking. So let's say I'm Hashimoto's, autoimmune attack against my thyroid. I'm also mixed connective tissue disorder and Ehlers-Danlos. So my immune system loves to attack my connective tissue, right? And so as a result, if I consume gluten, my whole immune system says, I'm going to attack everything that I've wanted to attack before, but let's just do it 10 times more. Does that make sense? Right? And if this is you and this really opens up your eyes, like to understand this, type it in chat, give me an emoji, tell me, is this you? Because it is not in your head that when you consume gluten that something else gets really worse. It's actually scientifically happening. It is a scientific reaction that happens. Okay. Right. And Bill just mentioned this. One issue I have is polyneuropathy, right? Now, I am going to tell you, and you guys need to write this down, okay? Neuropathy. Okay, let's talk about neuropathy. He's talking about polyneuropathy. I'm just going to talk about neuropathy. Anybody have neuropathy and know what I'm talking about with neuropathy? Type it in chat and share with me your experience with neuropathy, right? Tamika, that's you as well. Okay, so I have neuropathy too, okay? And this is a little bit of story time in me is that I have had, multiple things, but chronic TMJ, transmandibular joint, for a very long time. I have also had multiple car accidents and have had 2 neck surgeries. And the reason is if my tendons get injured, they don't heal. Okay. I've always been super hypermobile. My joints have been all over the place. Anyway, carpal tunnel. I have also had carpal tunnel. A lot of people look at these like with the TMJ and think, which is what I did, went to the dentist, went to the maxillofacial MD, and I had lots of braces over a course of like 5 to 6 years. I had every brace you could imagine. I have intraoral massage, all this stuff, because it's musculoskeletal, like it's muscles and joint. It must be because I'm jaw clenching, right? My fault, all that. Well, the interesting thing about it was, guess what? It had nothing to do with the muscles and joints. It had to do with my immune system loving to attack nerve in my neck here. So the upper neck nerve is called C1, C2. It goes out to a nerve called the occipital nerve. This nerve travels here from the back of my head to my ear right here out to my face. Okay. And so when I consume gluten and gluten triggers my autoimmune, and my autoimmune disease loves not only to attack my joints, but nerves. Do you think it could be a hidden cause of TMJ, transmandibular joint syndrome? Do you think it could be a hidden cause of pain for some people with really bad headaches? Right? Think about that. Type it in chat, right? And even TMJ in my hand, right? Not TMJ, carpal tunnel in my hand. I'm thinking my mouse here, and I'm having all this carpal tunnel. But guess what? It's really interesting is why would I get on both sides? If I'm right-handed on my mouse, why would I get on the left side? Right? So there's another mechanism at play where gluten is triggering an immune attack against my nerves, causing neuropathy. Does that make sense? Right? So that's a unusual reaction to gluten, but it is the usual. It's what I have experienced and what thousands of you have experienced out there. How many of you, based on what I said just about this nerves and neuropathy, are now getting a ding, 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 ding around gluten, right? And gluten as a super trigger of autoimmune attack, and thinking about, oh my gosh, could that be triggering my thyroid function and fluctuations? For someone with POTS, could it be triggering my heart rate going up and down and my blood pressure going up? Right? You betcha. Right? This is what I see. And this is why I work with people on all sorts of conditions with which it's related not just to gluten, but maybe it's not gluten, but it's almond, right? People have tons of food sensitivities. It's just we're focusing on gluten today because I think it's very misunderstood, right? Someone talked about trigger fingers, right? Mary Bell says, I think EDS, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, was a big part of my Chiari malformation and occipital neuralgia. So, Mary Bell, you're my YouTube twinsy. I have Chiari malformation, which is where our blood vessels in the brain has a very torturous, different pattern than somebody else. People used to think Chiari malformation was rare, but guess what? It's part of the genetics of a lot of people with autoimmune genes. It's not that rare. It's just doctors really haven't really made those connections that I'm making with you today. So, Maribel, you're not some super special rare unicorn. You might be Dr. Maggie's YouTube twinsy right there. Okay. Yeah. So, Andrea, you were asking what autoimmune diseases I have. I have Hashimoto's, which is autoimmune against the thyroid. And I have mixed connective tissue disorder, autoimmune against my tissue and muscles. I have autoimmune related neuropathy. There's no name for that disorder. And I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia a long time ago. And I also have had POTS and dysautonomia. So all of these things are actually linked with autoimmunity, and they were related to my food sensitivities, with which one of them was gluten. So I want to make that connection for all of you. And I want to be the first MD sitting up here to be able to tell you I had the same experiences and I've made the connection. I help people make those connections working with us in one of our programs. We have various programs on hormones and food mapping, for example. If you're interested in working with me on that, there's a link in chat for a 360 health assessment. That's where we get to ask you tons of questions. So we get to know exactly what's going on with you to know how to help. That's if you want the 360 assessment, type 360 in chat. That'd be super helpful. We could share that link with you. But in the meantime, I want to start answering some questions, but I also want to go into a supplementation here. Okay. So for people with everybody with gluten intolerance, IBS, start with digested. 1 with small meals, 2 with big meals, because all of you have certain and multiple steps in digestion that's broken. That's number 1, digested. Okay. Now, that being said, if you accidentally get exposed to gluten, this is the glutenator. I'm just telling you, this is the gluten eliminator, Allergest. And it's the 4x4 rule. The moment you know that you're exposed to gluten, take 4 for 4 days. That's really important. And it's even the next day. I do have a story around that. So I was at how many of you guys like English tea houses? I love English tea time, high tea at English tea houses, right? Where they have the scones and the crumpets, right? In Portland here, there was one that did like a British tea like that, but they had a gluten-free version and a gluten version. So my husband and I went because he knows how much I love tea time. And as I was eating, when they brought my gluten-free and his was gluten, I tasted my crumpet, and I was after the 3rd or 4th bite, I was like, this tastes too good to be gluten-free. I was so excited. And I noticed as I was saying that his and mine looked exactly the same because it's never the same. And so I asked the hostess what was going on and then make sure double check. It turned out I was gluten. So this happens. This happens. And you're not screwed. Well, I can be really screwed if I get gluten. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I get exposed to gluten, I'm going to tell you, literally my left leg gets completely like painful and numb. I get like twinging pain in my hip and my whole left leg goes numb and I'm literally dragging my leg around for a week. That's neuropathy. Okay. How many people can understand that? So it's one of those things where I never, ever want to be exposed to gluten. Because if I do, I'm going to be in pain and I'm going to be dragging my leg around for a week. Okay. That's not a pretty sight. Okay. And so thankfully, I had this in the car. I have it in my purse. Right away, I took 4. Okay. 4x4. And here's the thing. If you're not a walking glutometer like me, where immediately, like, well, even me, like that gluten reaction usually happens the next day. In this particular situation, I figured it out right at the table, right? And how many of you have had that happen and your heart just sinks, right? I knew because of that, but usually I wouldn't know till the next day. And some people are like, oh my God, is it too late? It is not too late. Okay. Even if it's the next day, even 2 days later, 4x4, 4 a day for 4 days, it will shorten the time with which your immune system and your digestion is really struggling with the gluten. So take that as a hot tip. This is Allergest. There should be a link in the comment section. And if you're on YouTube, it's right under if you want to check that out. I do not travel without this. It is everywhere with me in a Ziploc bag, just so you know. Next thing I want to do is I do want to answer. Let me see if there are some questions already because I your comments are flying. Okay, thank you so much. Maribel, you're the walking glutometer, so you're not my twinsy totally. Then she said her reactions are so bad within 45 minutes of eating. It's truly gluten. You can't even cross contaminate. I'm throwing up for hours. So really importantly though is have this on board, like just on you. But okay, here's a hot tip for somebody like Maribel. Take this as insurance for any meal you did make. If you are celiac or if you're like Maribel within 45 minutes, you're throwing up, that kind of like huge reaction. What I would do in that situation and what I tell clients I work with is take 2 with any meal you didn't make. Like seriously, take 2 with any meal you didn't make. That is the best insurance you can have. And I have done that because, sometimes I'll give you an example. There is a pancake house. I think it's called Pancake House literally in Portland, and they make gluten and gluten-free pancakes, right? But if it's on the same grill, they just make gluten pancakes and then they do gluten-free pancakes on it. There's going to be tons of cross contamination for someone who's as reactive as Maribel. So in her case, she could not eat it, or she could eat it. Number one, make sure she takes digestive support like Digested to digest food anyway. But additionally, I would absolutely, in that case, take 2 of the Allergest as insurance anyway, because I'm not waiting 45 minutes for that like almost death-defying reaction to happen. So I would say Allergest is insurance if you know you are a meal you didn't make at a restaurant or even going to a well-meaning friend's house, right? So that you can actually have the freedom to actually eat and enjoy your food and not be always walking around in trauma and fear. Does that make sense, everybody? I'm going to start going through some of these questions because this is a Q&A and I'm excited. Lauren says, oh gosh, this is a good question, Lauren. Thank you. Anybody else with questions, feel free to start throwing it in chat as well. We're collecting them. Can gluten cause dizziness? I have suffered from spatial disorientation, feelings of swaying, and rocking for years. I have been diagnosed with PPPD and chronic vestibular migraine. Lauren, yes, yes, and hell yes. This is a very good question, and I'm going to explain why. Celiac disease today, I'm talking multiple ways with which we can be reactive to gluten. Celiac is permanent autoimmune related damage to the gut. But if celiac was, the only reason celiac is called celiac and it's a gut disease is because the target was discovered in the gut first. But in celiac disease, it's a syndrome where the immune system has a pattern of other targets it loves too besides the gut. If celiac disease was discovered today, it would be a neurological brain or nervous system disorder, meaning that the immune system loves to attack the brain, the nerves, just as much as the gut. but we could scope the gut. We could see if the gut is dead and the villi is dead, and we could say, aha, and it's related with the gluten because it's coming through the gut. But we can't biopsy your brain, right? Necessarily. So it's really what people don't, the shocking gluten reaction that I want all of you to know, and that's celiac. Non-celiac gluten intolerant people can get really bad headaches and vertigo and dizziness, right? Um, really badly. So I have a case, Lauren, just like you, is Sarah, who is currently in our program. Sarah didn't know she was gluten intolerant. Okay. She discovered that she was gluten intolerant. Her main symptoms was POTS-like symptoms, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, where basically with positional changes, she was super dizzy, right? Heart rate started to go up and down. How many people notice that? Your heart rate goes super fast or goes down, up and down like that. That's called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. It's in the syndrome of what we call dysautonomia. So Sarah didn't know that, and she also had fibromyalgia and a lot of what should we call it? Migraines. Okay, with her periods. And so guess what? So we discovered she was gluten intolerant, right? And she completely removed. I'm not talking gluten light here, people. 100% removal. That's what it takes with gluten. If you're gluten intolerant, within 2 weeks, I'm not even saying 2 weeks. And if Sarah's in chat, you could chime in. It was 2 weeks, but I think it was more like 7 to 10 days. Anyway, within about 10 to 14 days of going gluten-free, she noticed, well, other people actually noticed a lot of things. People kept asking if she lost weight. So there was all this swelling around her neck. The swelling was just like, you see her on screen, it looked like she lost 10 pounds. And it was all inflammation around here, right? A lot of people have neck, thyroid inflammation from gluten. Anyway, she looked like she shrunk down a size and her face was obvious. And her friends, hairdresser people were commenting, oh my God, did you lose weight? She's like, no, I haven't. But she lost all this inflammation, right? Number one. The second thing Sarah reported was, oh my God, this is the first period I've had where I didn't have a migraine. Hello, right? So I want you guys to know that there is this whole connection between gluten and neurological, meaning brain or nervous system related symptoms, like what she was talking about with the dizziness, vertigo, tremors, headache. Okay, completely connected. And I will tell you right now, working with tons of people with POTS, dysautonomia, and long haul, I would say 100% of them truly, that's the manifestation of their gluten intolerance. And it doesn't stop there, right? For me, like not only did I, for example, not not in Sarah's case, but I remember in Heather's case, it was gluten and it was almond, right? And that's what it's great about when we actually do food mapping with somebody, because Heather was one of those people that she said, I went gluten free, it didn't help. Well, the reason was she's gluten intolerant, but when she went gluten free, she substituted with almond flour, almond milk, all that, and so it was almond heavy. And so she said, gluten. I went back to eating gluten because I didn't feel any better. So for me, gluten is a very good example of one really highly irritating food intolerance, but there could be one or two other things that makes you super confused. And then there's a bunch of people where it's digestive, right? I have trouble with my digestion and I can't even tell the difference between the two. And everything I eat feels like crap, right? So this is why for me, like calm the noise with digestion by starting digested, one with small meals, two with big meals, right? If you know you're gluten intolerant, have this on board. And this isn't just for gluten to clear the gluten. It's for whey protein. It's for fish protein, pea protein, some of the nuts. Go and check it out, the link to this product in YouTube or on the website. You can see all the other proteins so that it's like the SOS. You have the SOS bottle here, right? And if you're really thinking more about, wow, what are some other things that it could be? It may not be just gluten. I've never met a celiac where it's just gluten. I've never met a gluten intolerant person where it's only just gluten. What if it was the healthy broccoli, right, that you're intolerant to? Wouldn't it be great to have a blood test and work with us to be able to say, guess what, Heather? It's the gluten and the almond, and that's it. You don't have to eliminate the other 99 things, right? That's called food mapping. Just wanted to let you know that's some other ways with which I use data to help people identify. Now, Raina, thank you for this question. What can help with my chronic constipation and horrible digestion? I have also lost more than 10 pounds with no apparent reason. Please help. Okay, thank you for this question. Number one, I'm going to talk about the three supplements that are really important in the daily reset bundle. Okay, Digest It is right in the middle, right? But here's the problem: if you have, like, looking at Raina's case, couple things, right? She has the chronic constipation, which is a sign of bad digestion already. I can tell you, but the weight loss tells me something really important. How many of you know that you have horrible digestion absorption issues? Absorption issues where you're like, I'm spending $500 a month on supplements. I'm getting all this, eating all this organic food, but I know I got an absorption problem, right? It ain't absorbing. It's not showing up on my blood test. I don't feel better, right? Those are signs you're not absorbing, right? So in those scenarios, and she's lost 10 pounds, that's a malabsorptive state, right? So number one is start with digestion. Digested is right in the middle of the daily reset bundle. Start it immediately, right? Now, here's the thing. Anybody that has any step of digestion broken, two other things besides that are severe nutrient depletions that causes such severe symptoms in chronic autoimmune disease, hormone problems, POTS, you name it. And that's thinking through. So look at this. Okay, look at this, everybody. This is a quick thing to think about. So Boost Me first thing in the morning, and in the evening, we're going to talk about Restore Me. Okay. So Boost Me, why it's critical for everybody with digestive issue is the hardest things for your body to absorb when you have any step of digestion broken is your methylated and high quality B vitamins. And the most critical vitamins actually for brain, nerves, and hormones is your B complex vitamins. So specifically, I formulated in Boost Me a B complex vitamins, all highly absorbable that work together. That is highly absorbable, right? So it's forms that cross the gut-blood barrier, right? And the active forms. Just looking at B12, most of the B complex out there, 95, 99% of the B complex out there, please don't show me what you bought at Costco, has B vitamins in it. Say 3,000 times the amount recommended daily allowance of horseshit. Okay. I just saw a gasp on somebody on my team. Did I just say that? I'm going to get bleeped out on YouTube. Of horse doo-doo. So if you're going to take it, take the B vitamins that are going to be the active form that actually crosses and absorb. And here's a hot tip. Okay. The hot tip is take it with the digested with a meal. So take 2 of these in the morning with your breakfast with the digested, because these vitamins need the stomach acid indigested to absorb. Okay. Boom. Okay. Really important. 2 of these in the morning. Now, why is it important in her case? It's important in her case because if she's having major malabsorption problems and she's lost all this weight, there's a really big problem with her, with the B vitamins. Oh, with her mitochondria and her energy making. So mitochondria is the energy making power plant in every cell. The cells that actually help your gut digest, the cells that make hormones, right? And the cells that are to build muscle to actually retain her weight and her metabolism. So I know anybody who's had 10-pound weight loss or even 10-pound weight gain, we need to fire up that mitochondria. And the best way to fire up the mitochondria is Boost Me 2 in the morning. Take it, please, and take it with a digested and a meal, okay? Now, Restore Me is the other part of this, is the magnesium. And Raina, I'm just going to let you know, magnesium is the critical ingredient that's needed for your body to make hormones. Okay, for your body to make hormones. And the hormones from like thyroid hormones for your metabolism, also your sex hormones, also hormones like melatonin and serotonin for mood and brain and sleep. So I know when someone has a severe metabolic problem, metabolism, where they're losing a lot of weight or they're gaining a lot of weight, they're magnesium deficient. So Restore Me has a right form of magnesium that actually crosses the gut-blood barrier to go to the rest of the body. So it's really good for my fibromyalgia, chronic pain, people with nerve problems, right? And people with a lot of hormone problems. So that's 2 at night. And guess what? It doesn't absorb unless it's with stomach acid. So you know what? Take it with a meal and take it with digested and it will absorb. So I want to just point out that digestion starts the whole problem, but then it causes all these B vitamin deficiencies and mineral deficiencies, and it causes magnesium deficiency. So it's a 1, 2, 3 punch way in the daily reset of these 3 products for dealing with a lot of different types of problems. So, Raina, I hope that was helpful, right? And the chronic constipation. I will tell you how many people here have used Digested and it has helped with their diarrhea or their constipation, right? Because it's broken steps in digestion that's feeding it. I would love anybody who's used the product because I can't tell you. I have had 3 clients this week alone who told me that dealing with chronic constipation their whole life, within a week of starting the Restore Me, um, they the digested, sorry, their constipation got a heck of a lot better within a week. Okay. So this is really critical. Next we have, okay, let's take a look. DeForest. DeForest. There you are. Yeah, DeForest, I've been seeing your name for years. I'm so happy with all the followers that has been here for years. Thank you. And yeah, give me a shout out. If you guys tell me how many years or months or weeks you've been following me or have been watching my content, I would love to know. Type it in chat. That'd be super helpful, everybody. DeForest says, how do you know what you have? I have symptoms, but haven't been labeled. You don't need a label to heal. That's my answer. Okay. That is my biggest gripe with the conventional medical model. Until you have a label with a very limited number of tests, you can't be helped or you're psycho. Okay. So that's why we do the 360 health assessment, is because I ask in the assessment, we ask over 100 different things. And I do that, and I take the time to do that is because I don't need a label or diagnosis, for example, to know that there's a digestion problem or a food sensitivity problem. I don't need a label to know your hormones are all over the map and you need help, for example. I don't need a label to know that there's an autoimmune condition going on. I just need to ask the right questions. They're not asking the right questions, is the problem. So yeah, don't wait for a label would be my best advice for us. I would say it's really important to know really what are some of the things that are wrong that are root causes. Digestion is a big bucket. And food allergies. And then the other bucket is hormones. That's another big bucket. I already know, DeForest, from the years of you following and some of your comments, both are really jacked up for you. That's your real problem, right? But instead, we're going for more and more testing to find a label to get what? A prescription or a surgery, right? So I just want to show people that there's another way to think about these problems that really solves, like, ask the question, what's really causing this problem? That's what we do when we talk to clients and when we do like 360 health assessment. So I hope that's helpful for you. Can gluten cause trigger finger? Absolutely. So people with gluten problems will have more conditions like, does anyone know what Dupuytren's contracture is? Does anyone have had trigger fingers? I've had trigger fingers often before I knew I was gluten intolerant. So the attack or the gluten inflammation in the joint or muscles can cause trigger finger. And if you don't know what trigger finger is, it really locks so that you almost have to push, and then it goes pop. And sometimes it goes down and then it gets stuck like that again, boom, pop. So that's what a trigger finger is, just so you know. And yeah, it's food related. Okay. Does everything have gluten? No, not everything has gluten at all. You can Google that. Is there a test for food sensitivity? Yeah. Talking about testing for food sensitivity, there's a lot of testing for food sensitivity, but they all suck, except one. Okay. So I've been in this game for a very long time as a MD and working with allergists. People go to an allergist to try to figure out if they're gluten intolerant, and they can't because they don't work in intolerances. They work on IgE, which is anaphylactic type allergies. So you go there, you get a blood test or you get a skin test. They just tell you if you have anaphylactic reactions to gluten or wheat. That doesn't tell you if you're gluten intolerant. And when you're gluten intolerant, the type of symptoms aren't those GI or anaphylactic allergy symptoms. We already mentioned nerve pain, headaches, joint pain. I haven't even talked about the skin reactions. How many people get skin reactions to gluten? Type in chat. How many people have mood changes? How many people get the severe brain fog and ADD symptoms with gluten, right? And how many people know that gluten intolerant individuals can have some major problems with their hormones, like early menopause, horrible menopause? How about infertility, miscarriages, right? So I want you guys to really start thinking more about how important this issue really is with gluten sensitivity, but other foods can trigger this. Now, the problem is the testing for gluten sensitivity out there sucks. So when you look at gluten food sensitivity testing out there, and there's over 100 brands on the market of all varying prices, and their price has nothing to do with whether they're accurate or not. The most expensive test out there and the most common one ran even by naturopaths and functional docs costs around $2,000. And that test is one of the most inaccurate way of actually diagnosing food sensitivities or gluten intolerance. That's the laughing joke behind the naturopath and functional medicine community. The price has nothing to do with it, and this is out of pocket. So interestingly, I have found over the years that there is one particular test that is really good that we use, not only to diagnose gluten intolerance, but all your food sensitivities. So I don't just answer the gluten question, because what if it's gluten and almond, for example, right? So in our food mapping journey, when people work with me on their food sensitivities, and if you want to learn more about food mapping, type food mapping in chat. We deal with digestion. We deal with answering the question whether you're gluten intolerant or not, and we would identify anything that you also have problems with, and we open up the Pandora box of all things you could add back in. That's what we do when we work with people on food mapping. So if you're interested in that, write food mapping in chat to learn more. There is accurate testing. Here's the deal. The reason it's accurate is because it's me interpreting those results also. I want to be really clear about that. Even the best tests, food sensitivity tests on the planet, doctors out there, naturopaths, functional medicine doctors, other doctors, that even if they use the same test, what they don't understand is how, because I work so much with the people with autoimmune or histamine or mast cell issues, this test can have a lot of the way it shows up can be very confusing, and people are erroneously told the wrong results all the time. So I just want to be clear is that when I do the right tests and it's me going over these results, it is a very accurate way to actually figure out what food sensitivities you have with precision. And we're talking also digestion, also what step is broken, right? All right, Lauren, can gluten cause dizziness? I already answered that one. Someone dismissed that. I see. Raina, you have a question. Anybody else with a question? This is a Q&A. Pop it in chat. If you have questions also about supplementation, feel free to put that in, because I did talk about digested, Allergest, and I talked about Boost Me as well as Restore Me. So if you have any questions around supplementation, let me know. How can we be diagnosed with what we have, whether it's SIBO, SIFO, H. pylori, etc.? My doctor seems to not know what's going on. They don't know what's going on. So I think it's very important to, talk to doctors who actually work in functional medicine, like me, MDs or naturopaths, NDs, who are really asking the right questions, because, a lot of these is really listening and asking the right questions, and doing an assessment of what's the real problem. So it's the same as DeForest's question. This is why we do the 360 health evaluation. And if you want the 360 health evaluation, type it in chat. We'll get you a link as well to do that, where you have to ask someone 100, 150 questions and be able to also do a one-on-one with them to be able to help figure out what the problem really is. So that's a great question, Raina. Now, Tracy, thank you. Okay, can digested cause heartburn? Is there an alternative? Was using it for a year and suddenly started having issues. So this is an interesting thing, okay? So remember I said there are like 10 different steps in digestion, right? Of which it is heating up here under the lights. So I just have to open the window a little bit. All right, everybody. Woo! It's getting hot in the studio. All right. So can digested cause heartburn? It's not that digested is causing heartburn. This is something really cool when I use digested. We have Digested, and we also have a product called Digested Chewable. Okay. Digested Chewable doesn't have stomach acid and it's chewable. So a lot of our kids are taking it, or people with swallowing problems. Digested, though, is the flagship product. And it is what I always tell people to start with because it does contain some stomach acid in it. And here's the cool thing is that I didn't finish your question, so don't dismiss it. Here's the thing. There it is. I don't know why that one came up. Sorry. I lost my train of thought. Digestion and heartburn. Here's something really cool. So heartburn is totally misunderstood. I've had videos around heartburn. I do a lot of work with people around heartburn. Medical doctors don't understand heartburn. They think that heartburn is related to high stomach acid. Heartburn is related to the opposite problem, low stomach acid. Okay. I'm just going to tell you that. Now, 90% of individuals I work with have the problem of low stomach acid. Okay. 10% of people have adequate stomach acid. Okay. How do you know the difference between the two? Okay. Is actually taking Digested. So what happens is if you take Digested, one with small meals, two with big meals, and you get some heartburn with it, it is actually kind of diagnostic and kind of helpful because it helps you fall into one of two scenarios. One scenario is that you already have adequate stomach acid. And then when you take it, you're like, oh, I got some heartburn with it. It tells you, I might have enough. Maybe I should try Digested Chewable instead, which doesn't have stomach acid and covers all the other steps, for example, and see how I do with it. It answers a question, right? I'm giving you a skill to start figuring out based on your reaction and response to a supplement as to what step might be the problem here. Okay. So people who take Digested and have some heartburn with it, especially initially, it can be because they have adequate stomach acid. There's also another group. If you fall in the category where you are trying Digested, but you have been on Prilosec, Nexium, Zantac for a very long time for heartburn, okay, or took it for years but stopped, okay, those medications can shut off stomach acid permanently or for a very long time. So what happens is you have an environment in your gut that has no stomach acid for a very long time, and it's not used to any stomach acid. So in that population, when they first take Digested, they can literally go into a, whoa, like stomach acid. I haven't seen that ever. Okay, that happened to me, just so you know. So some individuals who are actually low stomach acid or no stomach acid on these PPI medications have like a permanent shutdown of their stomach acid. When they see some stomach acid, even though they need it, goes, ugh. So either case, this is what you're going to do is this is great information. So think about your own history and see which camp you fall into. So in both cases, I tell them, go to Digested Chewable for a while, and just start supporting your digestion without stomach acid so that you start to support and digest food. And after a while, doing well in Digested Chewable, one with small meals, two with big meals, try Digested again later. Okay. And interestingly, in Tracy's case, this is a different story where she says she was doing great on it for about a year. And suddenly she started to have issues with it. And I'm going to tell you, Tracy, something really kind of interesting with that. And you could dismiss the comment. So the interesting with that is if you're going along and you're taking your digestive support and you're feeling really great, and then suddenly you're like, oh, I have a problem with it. That means something changed in your digestion. And so are there things that can happen that actually can change your digestion so that your response, you're doing great with it or you're having a problem with it, happens? And the answer is yes. So let's talk about that. If someone gets COVID, okay, guess what? Did you know that that COVID actually can infect, it loves to infect your gut digestion cells. So which is why a lot of people with COVID get nausea, okay? It can actually infect and impact the gut digestion cells for anywhere from 3 to 18 months. And that's not the only virus that can do that. There are other viruses that can also impact digestion so that the needs of your digestion can change. So you might find, oh, I was doing great on this product and then I got COVID infection and I might actually need more, or I might need to back off for a little bit and then resume it. So those are just some things to think about. Some things to think about, which is why I love to get started with digest it first and then see how your body responds to it, because then it's your body giving you additional data. Does that make sense? And I freaking love data. And the data isn't just the food sensitivity testing. The data is all the good things you're telling me, right? So I love taking these pieces of information and putting it together in here and be able to put it together and be like, this is the reason why this is happening. And this is how you're going to adjust this product, or that. Does that make sense? I hope that was really helpful. I have a question here from Maribel. Are you able to see patients not in your state? Absolutely. So I am an actively practicing physician in Washington State. However, we work with people on food sensitivities and digestion with testing, as well as hormones as well. And we work on POTS, autoimmune issues as well. All of this is done online. And we deliver testing and we work online with people around the world. Okay, I hope that answers the question there. And to start working with me, or to learn more about working with me and our team, start with the 360 health assessment. So we learn more about you and what specifically is going on with you, Maribel, so that we can talk about, this is how we can help. This is what you need. This is what you don't need. There you go. Let's see. Heather says, can you speak on gluten and low-grade fevers with autoimmune? Yes, yes, and heck yeah. It's a bigger category, Heather. How many people notice that they have temperature fluctuation? I would love to know how many people have temperature fluctuation where you notice that you're really easy to overheat, or you don't sweat, or you're the coldest person in the middle of a heat wave all the time, or you just notice fluctuations where you're almost feeling like random hot flashes, right? Temperature dysregulation. Can we put that in here? Who's got temperature problems? Throw me an emoji in chat right now. This whole thing is autoimmune, hormones, food is connected. Okay. Thank you, Patty. Autoimmune, okay, food, and temperature dysregulation is connected. Okay. I mentioned something around how I have Hashimoto's, autoimmune disease in my thyroid, where my immune system loves to attack my thyroid, right? Here is a secret I discovered. Okay. So let's say you have, thank you, S foresight, me. Okay. And it's not just women, it's men. Okay. How many have Raynaud's, by the way? And yes, I know what Raynaud's is. And those of you who don't know what Raynaud's is, temperature change will cause the blood vessels in your fingertips, toes to contract, turning them white and blue, and they can turn really cold and hurt. Okay. How many got Raynaud's? Type in chat, right? So when gluten or any other food sensitivity triggers the immune system to attack anything else that your immune system wants to attack, it makes those things worse. One of the favorite targets of the immune system when you have autoimmune disease is thyroid. This is one of them. Now think about this. If it attacks your thyroid and your thyroid hormones are going up and down like this, do you think that'll cause temperature dysregulation? Active thyroid hormone is one of the temperature regulators, just so you know. Okay. And then let's talk about this. How many people notice when they're going through menopause, they're getting hot flashes and temperature changes and they're fanning themselves? If that's you, throw me a fan emoji or something, right? Or a hand emoji, or a wave. So that's the other thing I discovered was in my own autoimmune journey was that I said I went into early menopause at 36. Well, I had no measurable ovarian hormones. Every lab test said I was in menopause, 36 years old. Doctor said, you're just getting older, Maggie. I was 36. Okay. And years later, like 2 years later, I discovered myself, I had autoimmune thyroid. I decided to take myself off gluten. Okay. And when I took myself off gluten and I started to address my thyroid situation, my hormones came back. I came out of menopause. It's like the miracle, right? I came out of menopause. It should have been like on the front of the National Enquirer. I'm dating myself. But here's the deal. The immune system I had not only was attacking my thyroid, which is a hormone making cell, my immune system loved, and this is everybody who has thyroid problems, okay? My immune system also mistook other hormone making cells as a germ. So therefore, I had ovarian hormone problems, adrenal hormone problems, blood sugar balancing problems, like prediabetes for me, because insulin, cells that make insulin make hormones. All these hormone cells look the same. And so Hashimoto's isn't just an autoimmune disease of the thyroid, it's an autoimmune disease against all hormone making organs. And when your hormones are going like this, temperature goes blah, 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 blah. It's not just thyroid, it's your adrenals, right? Blood sugar swings. That's what causes all these temperature problems, is this autoimmune pattern. And what I discovered in myself was gluten was a big trigger there, for sure. And then number two was for me, some dairy, and number three was cashews for me, right? Woo! Right? I don't know. Do I have any YouTube sisters out there where it's the same three intolerances? Anyway, yeah. So I wanted to give you guys a link that to Heather's question is that gluten can absolutely be linked to either fevers or even the bigger topic of temperature dysregulation. So this is why I specialize on hormones. I specialize on autoimmune disease and food sensitivities and digestion, because these are really connected. These are really connected. I'm curious, would you guys like me to do a live workshop where I go over just how hormones are freaking connected to every single thing? I mean, like if we follow the rabbit trail or breadcrumbs of how ovarian hormones, adrenal hormones, thyroid hormones, how these hormones are actually connected to everything going on with every question that I've just answered. If you want me to do a hormone takedown, put takedown or hormones in chat. I can see if I can put together something for next Thursday. Let me think about, look at the schedule. If there's enough of you that want me to really do a hormone takedown and it's linked with autoimmunity and chronic disease and how it's connected to absolutely everything, and it's not a conspiracy because it is, type hormone in chat or hormone takedown in chat, because obviously you can see I'm watching K-pop Demon Hunters here. How many people here are obsessed, and I mean obsessed, with K-pop Demon Hunters and the music in it? Type it in chat, put K-pop in chat, because I am. I freaking love K-pop Demon Hunters and every single song on it. Just so you know, and one of the songs is Takedown. Takedown. I know. Will you sing Takedown for us? I want to cosplay as Rumi though. How about that? Hormone Takedown. Or Patty, do you want the K-pop Demon Hunters Takedown? Takedown. I know, right? I mean, if you guys haven't heard the song Takedown from K-pop Demon Hunters, OMG, come on, right? Or Golden. How many people have heard the song Golden from K-pop Demon Hunters? I am obsessed. Okay. It's been playing on replay at my house for probably 3 weeks now. Just so you know. All right, everybody. Let me go back to the comments section over here, regular comment section. All right, everybody. That was so much fun. And so many of you are writing hormone takedown, or you just want me to do sing takedown. Dun, 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 dun. Wait, dun, dun. No, oh my God, my husband, I can see him on the screen right now in the back, covering his face. I won't take it. I won't sing takedown. You know what? Tell you what. I'm going to invite you guys to my TikTok profile. And I have had thought about this for a while. And he's probably covering his face right now. A lot of people wanted to see behind the scenes. What it is, this girl loved makeup. I don't know if you guys know this girl loved makeup. There have been a lot of requests, people asking me about makeup questions. Believe it or not, in chat, I read every one of your YouTube comments. And I am I love makeup. I love makeup, and it's so creative for me. And so I've had requests from people that in my programs to say, can you do a get ready with me video? And just really share like what my morning routine is like or something like that. And to me, that's more cash. I don't think it's going to work very well on YouTube to do that. So I was thinking about going on TikTok and doing a get ready. Like, would you like, how many of you would like to see my morning routine? what I do to get ready in the morning, like literally no makeup face and do my makeup and just talk through my love of geeky girl love of makeup. I love makeup and also what I do in the morning to get ready. If you're interested, I'm going to share a link. Can you guys pull my link from my TikTok profile? Because maybe I'll do it tomorrow morning. I think I'm going to do it tomorrow morning. I am just going to do a get ready with me in the morning, just so you guys can see a little bit behind the scenes how I get ready in the morning. If you would like to do that, we'll put that my profile on TikTok. I think I'm going to do maybe 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's Pacific Standard Time. Just FYI. But follow me on TikTok for more behind the scenes because I have a lot of stories and even client stories that they have authorized me to share because they're real. But I myself, there's a lot of behind the scenes stories that I have even about what I've gone through with gluten, otherwise, or regular everyday life that I would love to share, and I would like to do that on TikTok tomorrow, starting at 8 a.m. You in? Who's in? Who's in? Type it in chat. Yeah, you want a full day in the life, Maribel? We could start with the morning. How about that? I don't know if I could do a 24-hour TikTok cam because you will see me dancing around the kitchen singing Takedown. Dun, 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 dun. Yes, I know the song. Dun, 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 dun. All right, everybody. All right. That wraps us up today. I had so much fun. And if you had fun watching this YouTube live on gluten reactions, learning about digestion and the gluten anecdote of Allogess, and just hearing some of these shocking gluten reactions, type in chat, give me some emoji, give me a thanks in chat, tap that like button and subscribe to the channel. And share this video. This will help the YouTube algorithm just to let people know that this is content that other people could learn from or are interested in. I think that's a wrap. See you later, alligators. Bye, everybody. And yeah, I'll do a get ready with me tomorrow on TikTok. See you then.